Tonight, a WGN exclusive. Victor Henderson, candidate for Chicago School Board president, addresses allegations of child abuse detailed in court documents from 15 years ago. Let's get to the point.
From Chicago's very own, with WGN political editor Tahman Bradley, this is The Point.
Good evening. A candidate for Chicago School Board president accused of child abuse. We're talking about Victor Henderson and allegations made 15 years ago. Welcome to Campaign Crunch Time. In court documents, first reported by NBC5, Henderson's ex-wife alleges violent and abusive incidents during Henderson's parenting time with their two sons. The ex-wife filed an emergency petition to amend the divorced couple's parenting arrangement. In one incident, the ex-wife claims Henderson repeatedly hit one son with the wooden handle of a garden hoe. She also alleges Henderson would sometimes go into the son's bedroom and whip him with a belt while he slept. In the court filing, the ex-wife said this was especially upsetting since Henderson would do the same thing to her during the marriage. From his downtown law office earlier today, Henderson told us he's at peace with his ex-wife and proud of the job he did as a parent. Victor, why should someone who's faced allegations of spousal abuse and child abuse be elected president of the school board?
Well, I think you just hit the nail on the head. They're allegations. Allegations aren't proven facts. I'm a lawyer. I'm in the business. People can say things, and what's said is sometimes some of it is true, sometimes half of it is true, sometimes none of it is true. But in this particular instance, this deals with things that are 15, 20 years ago in my private life, and it's clear to me that someone is trying to scare me out of the race. But that's not going to happen.
Do you know where that's coming from?
I've heard things, but I don't want to engage in speculation and politics. I mean, I've had people ask me to drop out of the race. I've had people try to knock me off the ballot. I've had people say, hey, I have these materials, because this was presented to me a couple of weeks ago. And people are saying, hey, this could ruin you. You need to get out of the race. But the race is bigger than me. I'm in the race to represent children, to advance their interests, to see to it that the system is fair as it relates to taxes and transparency and finances. And so the same reasons why I got into the race exist today. And so therefore, that hasn't changed. My family's with me. My children are with me. My wife is with me. So it's full steam ahead.
I want to go through some of it, and it's tough to read.
Mm-hmm.
Your son alleged that you would come into the bedroom in the middle of the night while he was asleep under the covers and whip him with a belt. Your ex-wife says you would do the same thing during the marriage. Did you whoop your kids while they slept?
So first of all, that's not accurate. My son didn't allege that. All of that is coming from the woman I was married to. None of that.
She says that's what your son told her.
Well, that's what she wrote. That's what's in the papers. My children did not say that.
Your ex-wife alleges you were violent and unpredictable. She says violent and unpredictable behavior by you. Is she lying?
So what I will tell you is there were difficult moments in our marriage. I never put my hand on my wife. Did we argue? Yes. Did we fuss? Yes. I never, ever touched my wife. Never. That didn't happen. Okay, and I really don't want to get into things because, she's in a good place, I'm in a good place, my children in a good place, so I'm not trying to do anything to upset her. I'm not trying to do anything to, upset my children. I want to protect my children. I want to protect my family, and I even have an interest in protecting the integrity of my former wife. So I'm not trying to have people drag things up from 15 years ago, but the bottom line is I never, ever, ever put my hand on my wife or any other woman. Never.
What about your kids? Did you whoop your kids?
So what I would tell you is this: I engaged in age-appropriate discipline for my children. So there are a whole lot of people who spank children. And not only was I raising, as they got older, boys, 12, 13, 14, 15. So not only am I raising boys, but I'm raising African-American boys. And so in my community, in my culture, when you tell your son something one time or two times or three times, whether they're 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 or 12 or 13 or 15, as the years go by, if they don't hear your warnings, because again, it's either they're going to respect authority in the house or they'll find themselves out in the street. And there are a lot of young men, and I've looked this up, a lot of young men who don't have education, and a lot of young men who grew up without fathers, and a lot of young men like that find themselves incarcerated. So I'm grateful that I had the opportunity to be a father to my children, and I was in court fighting for the right, for the time to be a dad.
But your ex-wife alleges that they were injured after you whooped them. Did it ever go too far?
It never went too far, and again, it was always age appropriate.
Were they injured, though?
No, but I'm not going to get into the specifics because in order to get into specifics, I have to breach the confidentiality of what happened with my kids. I'm not going to do that. So I'm a father way before I'm somebody running for office. I'm always going to protect my family. And that includes and that extends to the mother of my children. Okay, I'm not going to let anybody come after me, scare me, or harm my family. That's not going to happen.
No, I get that. You're running for school board president. The allegation is allegations of child abuse. Obviously, as school board president, the person who helps the kids. And so I just want to clear the air about these allegations of child abuse from your ex-wife in court.
Like all families, I had to raise my children. I took them to church. I took them to soccer games. I took them to basketball games. I took them to chess matches. I took them to school. And on a rare occasion, if my children needed to be disciplined because they weren't adhering to the household rules or even did something that was pretty bad, then, as a father, as an African-American father, as a black father, then I had to address it. Because the alternative was to let my kids run amok, and that wasn't going to happen. Okay, I love my children. They're very successful. They've all gone to college. They've all graduated from college. One of my kids is working on my campaign. All four of them at some point in time have been involved with the campaign. My youngest one is in law school, so the proof in terms of where they are and how they have been raised, we're not going to take out snippets of their lives or snippets of my family life without putting it all in context.
Let me ask you this, because we've only seen the emergency petition, and a lawyer had told me that judges want to grant those because they don't want their name on something bad happening. What was your answer to your ex-wife's petition? We haven't seen that. What was the final outcome in all of this? Did you agree not to engage in corporal punishment?
My answer was twofold. One, I didn't respond because I knew that, again, the allegations are just that, and you have to put them in context. And what I'm telling you is just like when there's a trial, the judge tells you, don't go home on day one or don't go home on day 5 until you've heard the whole story. So I wasn't going to respond. My focus was on being a dad, was on focus on loving my children, and was on focus on spending as much time with them as I could. And so I made an agreement that I wouldn't engage in disciplining my children, as they call it, corporal punishment, because I was more concerned about spending time with my kids. Okay, the rest of the stuff, I'm in that court system. I'm in that court system every day. Okay, and not being with my children and not raising my children was not a risk that I was willing to take. And so therefore I made the decision and I agreed that I wouldn't use corporal punishment. And again, I grew up with it, so I've had to fight. I've had to fight for my kids. I've had to fight for a whole lot of people. I had to fight for the young men at Urban Prep to see to it that their school wasn't, shut down. And so for me to be in a situation where, again, I'm fighting, this is, I guess, the lane that God wanted me in.
Let me ask you a little bit about Urban Prep, because I think some of this might come into the campaign. You served on the board there. The former CEO was charged with stealing $100,000 over the course of 2 years, having a sexual relationship with a student. As a board member who helped oversee the finances and supervise the CEO, what could you have done different? What did you learn?
First of all, he was gone by the time I got there. So I never was in the position of supervising that particular principal. That never happened.
Let me talk about the finances at Urban Prep, because they requested advance payments from CPS 5 times through 2020. Eventually, the district was denied an advance request and took out a $900,000 loan, leading to $400,000 in interest payments. CPS was contacted by a collection agency in 2021 about money that Urban Prep owed.
Before I got there, I didn't get there until sometime after 2023. But go ahead.
But what was the thinking going on with respect to the finances and these maneuvers that Urban Prep was engaged in?
So that's the exact reason why I'm running to become the president of Chicago School Board. You can't have a charter school or a local school council that's dealing with hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions of dollars without an accountant. You can't run a board like that without a lawyer. You can't run a board like that without somebody who understands insurance. It's the same thing. CPS borrowed all of this money during COVID. So Urban Prep did what CPS did, right? It was wrong for Urban Prep. It's wrong for CPS. And so I say that when I'm at my Urban Prep board meetings. I'm kind of like a thorn in their side. And the people who are trying to, run me out of this race, they know I'm going to be a thorn in the side, because there are people who want things at CPS to stay exactly the way they are. There are people at CPS who like the way the system works. The system works to the benefit of a whole lot of people. That doesn't include the students, and that doesn't include the taxpayers. That's why they want me out, because that's who I'm going to stand up for.
Thank you, Victor.
Thank you.
We're back in 60 seconds. Tonight, a tip of the hat to all the women political leaders here in Illinois. Today is the 106th anniversary of the 19th Amendment taking effect, guaranteeing women the right to vote nationwide. Illinois was the first state in the nation to ratify the amendment. And that is the point. I'm Tahman Bradley. Michael Mater is back with more news tonight at 9 o'clock. And The Forecasters is up next on WGN+. Good night.